Good morning. My name is Catherine Sourwine, and this is going to be my video blog. I'm going to call it The Art of Growing Old. I am 63 years old, and I am facing a lot of challenges, as most people are, particularly by this age, if we survive. It's amazing how many of our friends do die as we get through our 50s, mostly cancer, and how we deal with that. I have 3 children, ages 25, 26, and 34. This is my first day, and I'm doing this for the first time. I'm going to be talking about what I do and what I'm struggling with, because I think it speaks to a lot of others, well, some around my age in the 50s and 60s, and that's a huge growing field. We all know that the baby boomers are beginning to take over our world. Not really, but we are a large block, and we are larger than this demographic usually is because of the baby boomers. So that's part of my audience. The other part is just people who wonder about the same things we all wonder about. How do I deal with relationships? How do I get money? How do I do my house? Just daily things. Do I believe in God? What is God? All these things. So I'm going to be talking about that. Today is Monday. What is it? May 30th, and it's Memorial Day, so I'm home. I work part-time most of the time at a small Episcopal school. I'm in the extended day lower school, so I take care of the little guys, the 2 to 5-year-olds mostly, although sometimes I have the 5 to 8-year-olds as well. And every afternoon, and I enjoy it very much because I really enjoy the kids. And in my job, I get to play with them, and that's it. I mean, I just find things for them to do. I play with them, I talk to them, I cuddle them, whatever needs to be done. And I change them the diapers of the little ones, the 2-year-olds. Although right now we don't have any still in diapers. I don't think. I think they've all been potty trained. But when it needs to be done, I change diapers. Let's see what else. Just kind of take care of them, and I like that. And pretty soon I'll be working full-time in the summer camp, which I try to do every summer because that usually pays a little better. I would like to have more hours. I need the money. But on the other hand, I love having time free to do things like this, to just kind of think about things. So it's always a toss-up, money or time, which is more important at that particular time. Let's see. I said I was 63. What else? I have 3 kids. I rent a small townhouse in Silver Spring, Maryland, with my daughter, who's 25. I have a dog, who will probably wander into this video at some point, and a cat. He's kind of video shy. Today I'm just getting things done, like I'm doing a laundry. I'm going to clean up our rooms. Our house is a mess. It usually is. I'm going to clean up the worst parts of it, I hope to. Partly because neither my daughter or I really like to do housekeeping, and partly because we're just so busy. You know, she works a couple of jobs, and she's going to school. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I hope to. I think this is mostly for my sake, and to leave a record of, I don't know, but it might help other people who are going through some of the same things, because I think most of my struggles are not unique. I can't say I have that many struggles. I'm really very lucky. I have plenty to eat. I have a family that supports me. I have a brother and a sister, and 2 brothers and a sister, all of whom are extremely supportive. I have my children who are very supportive. I am divorced. I have been for, 20 years now. Time flies when you're having fun. But I do have family, and I do have a lot of friends, and I belong to a church. And yes, I'm a church lady. I do go to church, and they're a great community. And so I'm very lucky. I have very bad eyes. I've struggled with. I've always struggled with vision problems ever since I was a kid. But right now it's a little better. But over the winter it was terrible. I have diseased corneas. I have a disease called Fuchs corneal dystrophy, which is hereditary, and mine came on early at age 42, and so I've been struggling ever since then. It was great pain in the beginning, but now it's not. I've had, 1 corneal transplant in my left eye, 3 in my right eye. I think I'm due for another one in my left eye at some point in the next few months. But the right one, because of the transplant that I had in March, at the end of March 30th to be exact, is pretty good. Not great, but definitely enough to get around with. The left eye is pretty well shot right now, so Right now I'm not driving and I can't read real well. I do a lot of listing things, and I'm looking into accessibility apps that help me a lot in terms of reading labels and reading books and letters and things like that. And it's amazing what's out there. So it's a bit of a change for me. That's something I can talk about at some point, how difficult it was to make that transition. That was mostly over the winter rather. In November of this past year, my left eye, which had been the stronger one for years, suddenly we stopped responding to steroids, and it rejected my transplant. The right eye had been rejecting the transplant for several months, and then the left eye all of a sudden started rejecting the transplant ferociously, and nothing worked. And I was nowhere near blind, but everything was so hard to see, and I freaked a little bit. It was very scary, and it was a very difficult time. But I learned a lot. Now it's better because my right eye is better. I still can't see that well, but much better than I used to, so that my comfort zone is back. I can get around much better, and I can work, and I can, there's some things I'm still handicapped with, but much less. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky also to be in an area, I'm right outside of Washington, D.C., where we have good doctors who can take care of those things, who know what they're doing. My eye doctor was the first one to diagnose my problem 20 years ago. All the others had said, oh, you have a scratched cornea. Oh, I don't know what it is. Oh, I think you've got allergies. But he knew what it was. He said, no, you've got fuchs corneal dystrophy. We'll need to replace that cornea. So both of them, actually. So I'm grateful for that. That's what I mostly think. And sometimes I get depressed. Sometimes I think, it's not that I don't know I'm lucky, but sometimes I feel inadequate, I guess is the best way to put it. I just feel as if I can't cope with things, and that I'm really not very good at anything. Which may be true, because I'm really not very unusual. I'm intelligent, but I have no special skills, and I've never applied myself enough. So as you get older, you start thinking about these things like, what if I had done this? What if I had done that? Why did I do this? Why did I don't know, why did I not go into a profession? I guess that's my most common thought. Why did I not get myself a profession that would have supported me better? Most of my friends did. I did not. I think that was partly because I was a bit scared of doing so, and also because I married someone who didn't encourage me to do that. That was the marriage. I should talk about that more another time. He was not all bad, but there were great difficulties. Actually, he was a wonderful man in some ways, absolutely wonderful. But he's manic depressive and other issues, and there was a lot of abuse that crept in, and it got worse and worse. And I'll talk about that another time. But to make a long story short, we got divorced in 1996, and at that time, my children were 4 and 5 and 14. Shortly afterwards, my second son turned 6. My daughter turned 5. My oldest son was 14, I think, when we really began to be separated. And it was, let me tell you, it was busy and difficult. It was a blast in some ways. I'm so glad I am so close to my kids now that I wouldn't have been. And it was wonderful. But I never had much time to think. So, and although I tried intermittently to get professional degrees, I stopped when my youngest child was born, my daughter, and because I just couldn't. And for the next, I guess, 10 or 15 years, gosh, at least 15 years, I was busy taking care of them mostly and getting them through growth and blah 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 blah, and it was crazy, wonderful but crazy. So I think it's only now that I'm really thinking, well, I should have done this or I should have done that. The other thing that happens, of course, as you get older is there are certain things that aren't as easy for you. You get tired a little more easily. You feel that creeping on. You feel, well, my eyes, of course. And my knee hurts more and more. I also am a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and when I was doing Taekwondo, I injured my knee once. I didn't have insurance at the time, so I never got it checked out. There's another issue, health insurance and health issues. So it's still hurts, and I guess eventually I may have to get replaced. I really don't know. So that it's just things like that. You just can't do things as well. And God Almighty, you forget things. That drives me crazy. It's that now retrieval. These are the things that happen when you get older, and most of these are common enough, and you know that. But you think, oh, so if I'm breaking down a little bit physically, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm getting close to dying? It doesn't mean I'm getting imminent, but it does mean you think about that more than you used to when you're young. Because when you're young, you don't need to think about it. It just doesn't occur to you. Why should you? And there's absolutely no reason why you should. But now I do, having seen friends die, and my mother and my father, of course. and my aunt, and a cousin or two. I mean, so you do think about that. That's and you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to get morbid about it, but you want to sort of get yourself ready. So there's a lot of issues with that. So I think I've talked enough for the first time. I'm going to see if I can do this regularly. I don't even know. I don't even know, actually. I don't even know if this video is working, quite frankly. If it isn't, well, it's a practice. If it is, great. But I will try to do a video under The Art of Growing Old by Catherine Sauerwein. I'll try to do it at least a couple times a week, depending on my schedule. I don't know yet because this is still very new to me. But a couple times a week is my goal. And then maybe regularly. I just don't know. And I think this whole thing of doing videos is on YouTube. I think that's fantastic. And I think the whole YouTube is just a wonderful thing. And I love what the young people are doing. I love some of the guys. I love some of them, the way they're not just thinking of themselves always, a lot of times, but young people are supposed to, but of other people and trying to make the world a better place. And I'm so impressed by that. I just think that's great. I also think it's great that they're looking for new ways to not be in the corporate world, but to find a different way to make a living. Some of them do it quite well, of course, and they're quite wealthy, but many of them, I think, are just existing comfortably, and that's great. That is great. And the way they're doing it, and they're not necessarily going out and doing it 9 to 5. I suppose you have to say they're a little bit dependent on corporations anyway, but we'll get into that more. Anyway, so for right now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I will see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.